It's the match that everyone has wanted to see for many, many years, especially after their face-off from the very first Collision just a few weeks ago. Incredibly surprised, though, that they didn't build this match for a pay-per-view. Instead, it was given to us for free on cable TV. Man, with all the footage from them in Ring of Honor that Tony now owns, wouldn't it have been nice to just watch the next several weeks of them building this match and them not touch until they got to Wembly? Another week of pro wrestling in the books, and of course, lots to talk about. Welcome to another edition of the Wrestle Chat podcast. I'm the Ant-Man, your host here each and every week. I appreciate you being here, and in with me, as always, one quarter of the Man-Child Chronicles podcast crew, Michael Glavin. How's it going, bud?
It is going fantastic. The heat is turned up outside here in Texas, but not as hot as professional wrestling this week.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's kick off the episode with a look at AEW Collision as advertised. CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. It's the match that everyone has wanted to see for many, many years, especially after their face-off from the very first Collision just a few weeks ago. Incredibly surprised, though, that they didn't build this match for a pay-per-view. Instead, it was given to us for free on cable TV. I say free. Most everybody has some kind of streaming service now where you can watch it. I understand that Tony's in the middle of negotiations for television rights right now with Warner Brothers Discovery, and no doubt that this match helped AEW achieve another nice rating this week. But this is a personal opinion here. I think this should have been the very first match announced for All In at Wembley, and you take the time to build a story around these two monsters. After all, this match was, 20 years almost in the making, 19 years. 2004 was their very first match in Ring of Honor. Joe won that one. They had others that went to time limit draws, but this is the first one that CM Punk took the dub on, and it ended with him essentially kind of catching Joe for the pin at the end there. It is possible, and with the looks of other things that are going on in AEW right now, they're working hard to start building in storylines to their programming each and every week, slowly and surely. But it's possible that this could still be a big build for a future rubber match. But man, with all the footage from them in Ring of Honor that Tony now owns, wouldn't it have been nice to just watch the next several weeks of them building this match and them not touch until they got to Wembley? How do you feel about this one?
It's interesting because it's a prime example of the market that we live in nowadays, because the reality is that you get your money from TV, and you got to make TV good, but the purists want everything held off till pay-per-views. Yeah. And so this is one of these awkward moments where you don't really know how to feel because you're thankful you got it, but you just wish it would have been on, prom weekend instead of one random Wednesday night.
Sure.
And so ultimately it was a great match. I love watching those guys work. There's a comfortability with both of them. It's to steal from Jeff Hardy a little bit. It's poetry in motion. And I hope there's more, because to your point, if there's anything in all of professional wrestling that has the ability to build a story behind it, it's Punk Joe. And so I'm curious to see, to be honest with you, to answer your question, I'm indifferent. I have to trust the powers that be that this is what needed to happen at this place and time for some type of business reason. But at the same time, I'll admit, from the crowd side, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
There's something that JR used to always say, and I think that it was a conversation that he had with Vince McMahon, and it was that you always book everything backwards. If you wanted this match, let's just say, for example, if you wanted this match to be at Wembley, start with them at Wembley and who was going over, and then work your way backwards and set up key points. If you needed a big pop because you're in the middle of negotiations for television rights, then put something big there without them actually having to touch. There's many ways to do this, and I do feel that you really touched on something there when you say that this is the age that we live in right now. And also, everything is immediate. Do you want it now? Okay, you got it now.
Yep.
Just tonight, I mean, we ordered. Actually, last night we ordered pizza, but it's like you hit the button and it feels like 10 minutes. It's at your house. You decide you want pizza now. You get pizza right now, right?
Yep.
We'd love to know what your input is on the Joe versus Punk match. Follow the show on Twitter, on Instagram, and Instagram's new Twitter rival, Threads. Let's continue the chat over there. Jumping over to Raw on Monday night, a SummerSlam challenge was dropped by the American Nightmare. Everybody has a Brock Lesnar. And Cody's Brock Lesnar, just so happens, is literally Brock Lesnar. And it looks like, talking about rubber matches, which I think this is funny too. There were some people online that were confused. They actually thought that rubber match was a stipulation.
Oh.
And I have no idea. And I promise I don't want to see whatever match that is. I'll just say that. But it looks like
all
we're going
I
to get
know
a rubber...
is that if that's what we get, it better be on a pay-per-view.
Well, we do know that it'll be safe, no matter what. But
see you later, listen, PG era.
Exactly. Oh, we're bringing it back. TV 14. That's awesome. But it looks like we will get a rubber match, which just means the bounce back and forth when we get the third one. With these two at SummerSlam in Detroit. That's coming up on August 5th. I'm excited to be there in Detroit to see this. I'm assuming that you are too, man.
Oh, man. I've been doing some of my logistics, and it's weird to be adulting and feel like such a kid at the same time. I've been texting you about, some travel and some hotel stuff, and I'm just like, man, I'm going to go to freaking SummerSlam. And like, if 10-year-old me could see how cool I am now.
Exactly.
So, no, I'm super stoked. The card's already shaping up to be great. It's going to be a really, really fun event. Anytime you get something like Brock Lesnar, even just by itself, it's just magical. I was at Battleground 2015 in St. Louis, Missouri, and to be honest, I don't remember who Brock was wrestling. It may have been Seth Rollins at that time, but it was in the main event for the title, I believe, and that was. Forgive me for the timing because it's all kind of a blur, but that might have been part of the build up to WrestleMania 30 the following year for that match. But at the end of the match, lights went down. You heard the gong. Undertaker did his appearance in the ring. And so, I got to see Brock Lesnar. I got to see a little bit of Undertaker and the other stuff that was happening. So it's really special when you get to see some of the big players in person. And so this will be a huge thing for me because I've been to some pay-per-views, I've been to some TV tapings, never one of the big four. So it's going to be a really, really great time. Well,
SummerSlam, WrestleMania is obviously the Super Bowl for WWE, but SummerSlam was always my favorite to watch. It was just a fun time of year, and it's exciting to get to go to this one. And I'm excited about not only getting to see what happens in this match, but really what happens after this match, and what does that lead to for Cody? Does he get to continue down the road for the story leading to maybe next year's WrestleMania? We'll have to find out August 5th. Now, in the main event on Raw this week, we saw a 6-man tag. Judgment Day took on the undisputed tag team champions, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, with their third member, Seth Rollins. There was a report from Fightful that an altercation happened after the participants went back through the curtain. Word was it didn't get physical, but many of them were very, very heated when they got backstage. If I had to guess, I'd say it had to do with how the closing sequence went during their match. It was the main event, and toward the end, after Finn tagged in, it looked like there was some miscommunication that went down between he and Seth, and Finn went for a sling blade. Rollins went for like a discus punch, and they got tangled up and rolled to the mat. And then Finn got up, and Seth put him in a position for a suplex, but neither one of them could decide on who was actually going to execute the move. And it became a mess. Ultimately, Judgment Day came out on top of this match, but if I had to guess, there may have been some finger pointing when they all got to the back, if indeed there really were words exchanged about this backstage. Would you assume that it had to do with this segment in the bout, or did you notice something else that could have been the issue?
I didn't notice anything else. I think in that situation, when you're making up a large percentage of the TV time right now, and you have something like that occur, the reality is this is beyond ballet. This is beyond a combat sport. This is complex stuff. And as good as these guys are, and just the massive talent that they are, nobody is perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. And so when you have these rare moments where something just doesn't fire, to be honest, like, to humanize the whole thing, I think it's more embarrassing for yourself than it is, anything else. And so I think getting back there, it's you're reacting out of that embarrassment rather than just chalking it up to it is what it is. And so it's a rare miss for these guys that we have in play. And so, words can be exchanged all day long. That's fine. And who knows who was waiting in Gorilla, in that
true.
amount of time. Vince could have hopped on a plane, been there, and been waiting back there to shred some people apart, But whatever the situation was, sounds like it remained somewhat professional. But we can only speculate and wonder as to the details of that situation.
Whoever it was, I hope they didn't tear a quad. Share your thoughts with us on Twitter, on Instagram, or Threads. Find us on any of those at Wrestle Chat Podcast. Hey, a great first week of the Man-Child Chronicles on YouTube. I know you're off to the races with another episode that just dropped yesterday. For those that haven't had a chance to join in, what do you have on this latest episode?
Oh, man. We had a lot of fun this episode. We talked kind of some of our weekly shenanigans like we always do. And for those that haven't seen it yet, I teased last week that the draft, the fantasy draft that we're doing, is what celebrities would you want to spend a weekend in Vegas with in a hangover movie-esque type situation. And so there was some really interesting picks. But now beyond that, to give you a little sneak peek of the other segment, we did a live spelling bee on the show, a man-child spelling bee, mixed with a little bit of Are You Smarter type stuff. And so we went through different grades of education and spelt some words that are common for those grades. And it was humbling. It was a humbling experience.
Yeah, especially without autocorrect.
Yeah. And so it's a really great episode overall. Want to invite you guys to come check it out. It's a great time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with your friends. We've got Discord. We've got Instagram. We've got a way that you can call and say hi to us via a phone number. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
It's Man-Child Chronicles here on our YouTube channel. I want to invite you to as well to hit subscribe and also that notifications bell. That'll remind you when we drop a new episode. Plus, if you'll scroll on down to other channels that we love, you'll see the Man-Child Chronicles right there. Click on that, hit subscribe there too, and join Michael and crew every Friday. AEW Dynamite from this past Wednesday. A very, very interesting relationship is starting to develop between AEW champ MJF and Adam Cole, baby. First, they paired up in the blind tag eliminator tournament, or they were paired up. They didn't do it themselves, and they looked very frustrated that they were going to have to team up. But then they're at the gym working out together, and they win their match last week, and then they celebrate Cole's birthday right there in the ring, complete with a birthday cake and everything. And this week, they're at the bar together, taking shots, hanging out. They end up going back and playing AEW Fight Forever together. Then they win their match against Big Bill and Brian Cage. These two are monsters. Huge pops for both guys. While I love seeing MJF in his natural state as a heel, and listen, don't get me wrong, I still believe that he is a heel to the core. I love the story that they're telling here with these guys. We all know MJF is going to turn on Cole at some point. They even hinted at it, that they were going to turn on each other this week. But for once, could we please not rush something? They finally are telling us a fun and entertaining story on AEW. I say we should enjoy it. How are you feeling about this?
I feel really great about it. It's like you've hit the nail on the head. It's a fantastic story, and the key is, sometimes I think in this realm of professional wrestling, since this show airs on Wednesdays, we forget that Wednesday is always coming, and Wednesday never stops coming. We've got time.
Yes. Yes.
We've got time. And so, this reminds me of what I would like to call slingshot booking. We're going to pull back. We're going to create tension. Yeah. And the further we pull back, the more awesome it's going to be. And the further we hold it, it's going to create all that anticipation. But let's try and send this one to the moon. Let's not prematurely shoot that slingshot. So.
Last week, they introduced a storyline of a guy named Nick Wayne. In just 1 week's time, he made his debut. He did that this past Wednesday. He was on the losing end to Swerve Strickland, but it's hard to believe that this kid just turned 18 on Monday. I'm excited to see what his future is in AEW, and if you missed his very first match in AEW, it's worth going back and checking out. If you haven't hit subscribe on our YouTube channel yet, it would mean a lot to us if you would. It helps this channel grow. Plus, as life gets busy, you'll get a little gentle reminder that we've got a new episode for you to watch. So hit subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and give this episode a like. It costs you absolutely nothing. All right, moving over to SmackDown last night. I'm going to read your text. Over isn't even the word anymore. I'm going to give you about 3 seconds, those of you watching right now, to guess who we're talking about, and then you tell me whose game it is. Ready? 1, 2, 3. L.A. Knight. Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Dude is over. The dude is over.
We've got something, and I'm not sure what to do with it. You definitely can't thrust him into the main event title picture, because that would be a little premature. But man, like, it's hot. It's almost like there's going to be people listening. They're going to be like, "Oh, come on, man, it's not that." It feels similar to what you said. It feels Rocker Austin hot.
It feels
and
does.
It feels like that organic type vibe that it's ready to take off like a rocket.
Yep.
So I guess we're going to see, I would assume with the promo like that he'll go over next week, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
4th highest selling shirt in the month of June, with a shirt that didn't come out until there were only 4 days left in the month of June. In the month of June, in 4 days, he became the 4th highest selling merchandise in WWE, behind, like, I think it's NWO, Rock, Stone Cold, and then LA Knight. Mm-hmm. Out of the current people, number 1. And if he had the entire month, he probably would have been number 1 overall. We'll find out in July, at the end of July, where he stands on that. And it's just a yellow shirt that says, yeah. That is so crazy. I felt like a little bit of his promo was a shout out to Chris Van Vliet, because he's been uploading other interviews again that he did with Eli Drake. And he re-uploaded it, and it was because I noticed that it was like, this was released 4 hours ago, and it had a ton of views on it. I watched part of it, and it was good. I mean, it's the same guy. It's really cool that character is finally taken off. How close are we nearing that Rock Austin level reaction, do you think? Do we need to go look at an actual a time from the Attitude Era and watch when Rock or Austin comes out and just play them side by side sometime?
I think that would be cool. I think we got a couple of months before we really find out if it's going to stick or not.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we got to get a strap on him and see what happens. Get a strap on him and see what happens. Never mind. But
we are talking Attitude Era, so it's anything goes.
We're talking the Attitude Era. So anyway, we got to see where that goes. But I think we've got a little bit of time. However, are you okay over there?
Well, I'm just thinking that so far we have a rubber match and a strap in this episode. And I think I'm going to have to go ahead and hit that explicit TV 14 rating on our podcast this week. Go ahead. Sorry.
But quick side thing, I would say, who knew that that Mr. LA Knight was in so many commercials.
Oh my gosh.
Like the stuff that's popping up on the
Yep.
internet. But by far my favorite one is the Triple H fitness video where he's in the background and Triple H turns around. Yeah. How's everybody feeling? You guys ready for more? And then from the backside you hear, yeah.
I wish that he had thrown in a dummy just from back in the Impact. Yeah, dummy. Did you see the insurance commercial with Ric Flair?
I did.
Yeah, man, you're right. I didn't realize he was in so many commercials or movies or reality shows. It's great. Well, things like this are what set the Attitude Era on fire. Vince Austin story got hot. As it was at a fever pitch, DX got hot. As it was at a fever pitch, another one got hot, so forth and so on. You've got the bloodline, hitting on all cylinders, as it has been for a while. You get one or two other things hot, like what they're doing right now with LA Knight. Yeah, we're off to the races again on a Attitude Era feeling in WWE. Speaking of the bloodline, another stellar performance from the Juiso, Paul Heyman.
Jim, from one Juiso to the Uso. Let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's genius.
I heard it and it went right over my head until I saw your text. It's so funny. It was just a stellar performance from all of them, though. It's shaping up, I guess, to be Roman and Jay at SummerSlam, and I say, well deserved. How about you?
Yep, absolutely. I'm curious where Jimmy still fits in the storyline.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how all that plays out. Obviously, he's on a storyline injury work right now.
Yeah.
But Jay definitely deserves it. He's got the charisma, he's got the look, he's got all the things about him going for him right now. Now, that is not to say that I'm taking a dump on Jimmy by any stretch of the imagination. Lots of talent there, but there's been a lot of great performance from Jay throughout this storyline, and so well deserved, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
If you want to get out of character and check out some of the behind the scenes Solo post, had a really great post this week you should go check out on his Instagram, where he kind of got emotional after the events overseas at Money in the Bank. Go check that out. Tonight, another episode of Collision, where we get the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. It's going to be CM Punk taking on Ricky Starks. That should be really interesting. Plus, directly following Collision on TNT, it's the Battle of the Belts. They don't really do a great job of promoting this. I didn't even notice or remember hearing much about it on Dynamite or anywhere else, but I noticed it on my DVR. It was there. Oh yeah, that's right after Collision. How about that? Impact has their Slammiversary pay-per-view tonight as well. Sure to provide a lot of content for us to talk about here next week. Michael, always great having you here on the Wrestle Chat podcast, bud.
Always great to be here. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, and thank you guys for being here with us as well. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and stay up to date with everything that we've got going on here at the Wrestle Chat Podcast. Plus, connect with us and continue our chats over on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. We'll see you guys all again next week here on the Wrestle Chat Podcast.